For the introduction, there are many types of work that are dangerous and can cause accident in workplace, such as manufacturing. The construction business is one of the jobs that has a variety of dangers and hazards due to the many activities on site as well as the material used. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that the construction business is the fourth most dangerous with the second highest number of fatalities. As a result, it is critical to use safety in construction to ensure the workers' safety and health. Aside from that, construction safety tries to ensure that a construction site or the sector as a whole does not provide an immediately hazard to the general public or construction personnel.
The overview of the construction site that we undergo this construction site is situated in Nasa City, Johor Bahru, and it covers an area of roughly 2.4 hectares. The construction site for the residential buildings, which are 84 units of double-story terrace house Desa Pama phase. And this is the picture of the construction site. Then, first of all, is excavations. Excavation is a process of digging out, moving, and removing dirt, rocks, or other materials from locations in order to provide a whole or open area for various building tasks. The next one is concrete pouring. Concrete pouring is an essential building process that is used to place and compact concrete in the intended locations. The third activity is bar bending. It is a process of shape and form the reinforcing bar, rebar, and also the steel reinforcement bar into the appropriate dimension and shapes. The next activity is formwork installations. It is the process of creations and installation of more or of formworks, which is the temporary structures. Bricklaying is also a common activity that we discover in the construction sites. It involves precisely placing and arranging bricks to crack walls, partitions, or other structural elements. The last activity is roofing installations. The step of roofing installation is delivery of the trusses, and then we need to positions and alignment of the trusses, and then the truss layout, followed by heat and valley, and the last one is cable and trusses.
Hi, my name is Najwa Munazar with the user. My metric number is CF210251. I would like to explain about the identification of hazard. Identification of hazard is the step in the process of determining whether specific circumstance, object, entity that might have to be potential to be harmful. There are 6 types of hazard, which is the first one is safety hazard. It can impact any workers, but more affected to those who are using machines and working at the construction site. The second is biological hazard, which is it can be dangerous for people who are working in the hospital or labs. The third one is physical hazard, which is physical hazard are most risk for employees that are exposed to loud noise, radiation, sunlight, UV rays. The fourth one is ergonomic hazard, which is employee can conduct manual tasks and heavy lifting, but it may run risk of injury. The fifth one is chemical hazard, which is most likely to be impacted to those who are cleaning the facilities. It can give skin irritation and breathing difficulties. And the last one is workload hazard, which is it exposed to the hazard. If the scaffolding collapsed or if the worker wasn't wearing a safety harness. And for the second one, noise and hearing damage. It is because of loud machineries, power tools, groundwork tools that might cause hearing issues. And there are many hazards at construction sites such as electricity hazards, burns, collapse, and asbestos. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Suwanur Shabila binti Wan Muhammad Yasin. My metric card number is CF210035. So I will explain about the identifications. A hazard is defined as anything that can cause harm, such as a condition, situation, practice, or activity, including the injury, disease, death, environmental damage, property damage, and equipment damage. So for the next slide is I will explain about the hazard identifications such as a health hazard, safety hazard, and environmental hazard. So an occupational for the health hazard is any factor that can cause a person to become ill, and health hazard include chemicals such as a battery acid, biological hazard, example like a bacteria, dust, virus, physical factors such as source of energy such as electricity. So next for the safety hazard is any force powerful enough is to inflict bodily harm or property damage. Safety hazard include the fire hazard, moving part of machinery, work at high pressure systems such as steam boilers, vehicles such as a falling and slipping or tripping hazard. So for next, environmental hazard is a release to the environment that can result in harm or damage at first effects, for example, which drains the glycols, systems and dumps fluids into the storm drain. So for the next slide is I will explain about the hazard identifications such as a health hazard, safety hazard, and environmental hazard. So an occupational for the health hazard is any factor that can cause a person to become ill. The technique of identifications hazard. The employers must create a hazard identifications, an assessment approach that consider the papers and information listed of any hazardous occurrence investigation reports. So in the reports must have such as first aid records and minor injury records, workplace health protection programs, any workplace inspection result, any employer complaints and comments, any government or employers reports, studies, and tests concerning employee health and safety, and any other pertinent information. Risk assessment is a true examination of situations, process, and other potentially hazardous actions or hazards in the workplace. So the result of risk assessments as provided is risk metrics are critical for making risk control decisions. So risk can be calculated using the formula of a risk R equal to likelihood L times for the severity X. The risk assessment metric must be completed to establish the risk levels with weight age average index WAI calculations. The computations of WAI for each hazard was interpreted by the risk assessment metric scheduled in Table 1 and the risk level indicated in Table 2. Risk control is the eliminations of deactivations of hazard in such a way that the hazard do not endanger worker. Hazards should be controlled at the point where the problem arises. It also measures or action made to remove or reduce the risk of the individual exposed to the hazards. So it's including the excellent, positive, reasonable, and poor for measure the situation.
My name is Angeline, and I will present the recommendation to minimize or eliminate the hazard. For eliminating the hazard, hierarchy of control, which including elimination, substitution, engineering control, and amenities control and PPE is used. For the first hazard, which is force at height, firstly, we should avoidance, which is avoid working at height altogether. Then use existing platform and access point to minimize the need for additional height-related tasks. Thirdly, provide suitable work equipment to prevent falls. Then provide work equipment that minimize potential consequences of fall. Then lastly, provide proper instruction training and conduct regular equipment inspection to enhance safety. Secondly, noise exposure. Firstly, eliminate the hazard. Workplace should be designed to be quiet as possible. Then, minimize the risk to people. When noise controls at the source is not possible, minimize the risk to individual by increasing distance or using barriers. Thirdly, engineering controls, which is install automated equipment, isolate noise area, and use sound insulation materials. Then, for electrical hazard, firstly, we use substitution or elimination, which is avoid or replace electrical equipment and process where is possible. Then, engineering controls, which is implement grounding system installation or barriers. Then, thirdly, administrative control, which is develop safe work procedures or conduct inspection. Then, using PPE, like insulated gloves and safety goggles. And lastly, monitoring and review with regular access system. The next hazard is birds, and the way to eliminate or substitute is eliminate the use of open flames or hot surface wherever possible. And secondly, engineering controls, install automatic fire suppression system. And thirdly, administrative controls, which is develop or provide training to employees on burn hazard. And lastly, using PPE such as use heat resistant gloves. And lastly, the hazard that we identify is asbestos, which is the first way to eliminate is identification and assessment. Find out whether the presence of asbestos in the building through professional surveys. Then secondly, enclosure, such as apply sealants or coatings to prevent the risk of asbestos. Then thirdly, safely remove the asbestos. And thirdly, engineering controls, which is use measures like negative pressure system. And the next one is safe work practice. And lastly, using PPE.
Harm to the both body and mental to the worker because they're exposed to it as long as they're in the site construction. By identifying the hazard and give the right equipment safety to the worker can reduce the danger around them. That's all from us. Thank you.